Kevin was damn good. Kevin was good. I like Kevin's
To me,
style a lot.
to
He
me,
was the one
I
that
don't.
really introduced this whole new he really emphasized on his flow and he introduced that to the community
Yeah, that's
in a
the
different
problem.
perspective.
Yeah, but the problem was, is I think that's one of the reasons the community started failing because what they did is they took the momentum, they took the motion with his Final Fantasies and his other works, but then they started fading the whole. They did start doing the fades too, and then after that, '08 came around and people started doing those all the media gens with the cookie cutter stuff and the mask with the masking and all that stuff, and they just started combining that with this old generation stuff, and it just became garbage. I think after that.
I don't know. I personally think Kevin was one of the only ones that really could get away with doing that style the way he did it. I mean, you look at the rest of them, all these people that try to imitate him, it looks pretty bad. It looks real bad if you ask me. And
Yeah, I
uh,
know, but so I said. I said to me, Kevin, when GK was actually all editing, I think Kevin was like the best one to me till this day. Even though he doesn't edit anymore, I still say he's the best Final Fantasy editor out of anybody in the world. Like nobody can edit
Kevin
Final.
is good. Kevin is good. I loved his Everybody in the Place envy. That shit was sick back in the day.
And if he had ever finished his Slaving Me beta, I would be masturbating to that till this very day still.
Well,
I'm sorry.
what about Monty's Final Fantasy envies? Those were damn good. I love those.
The one I loved from Monty, of course, was Goodbye Brother, of
That one
course.
was one of his best. That one's damn
Yeah,
good.
that's the point. Like I said, there's videos I would masturbate to constantly. Like Goodbye Brother, everybody in the plays, Slaving Me Beta, his Icy with Slash, which was fucking boss as hell too. Yeah, I would masturbate to all of those. Those are like they just get my Kingdom like get my Final Fantasy boner going like crazy. It's like
Right, yeah. But no, I mean Final Fantasy, you have a lot of people that introduced a lot of new styles into it. Soup, he added a different style to it. He kind of I don't know, it's kind of different than everything really. His style.
yeah, but you gotta remember his style, it first grew off of my style.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I never really watched your Final Fantasy videos.
Yeah, well, my styles were basically take any of the blending he does with his action, and I was the one who created that style. Like I took what Kevin did, and I took it and I made it way more intense, and I did it with hard cuts, and I created a whole different blending concept for it. That's why like I considered Godzilla porn to be a whole like a different style in a way because it actually added a new twist to the source.
Godzilla Point was different though. That was really it was really effect based, if anything, because I mean
The only effect in there was just that burn
that one
effect.
effect, but that was throughout the whole video. That was
Yeah, but that's the point is I didn't use it as an effect to sync stuff. To me, it was a background effect that actually was supposed to just be a part of the atmosphere kind of thing.
I personally thought you it would have been better without it because that seemed to be real
Well, the
sloppy.
problem,
It looked sloppier to me. It made the video seem
well, the
sloppy.
problem with that, the problem is you guys never saw the fixed version I made. I made a fixed version a couple months later. The problem with it is that burn effect I did. It involves a subtract layer on the top, and it involves radial blur. And unless you use 100% radial blur, it creates a darkening effect. So what was wrong is I didn't notice what I was doing was I was copying these blurs over, but there was 88%, so it was actually making the video dark. So not only was it obscuring the video to begin with, but I was actually darkening the video as time went on as well. So I later on I made a better encode because I also made a really shitty encode for that. So I made a better encode. I fixed the overlays. I even moved them around a little bit so they weren't as darkening. It's actually posted on a different channel. But yeah.
No, yeah. I mean,
But basically, Soup's old dog fight stuff and all that crap, that I did with him. I mean, that was like when he first started doing it. Like he was like, I don't like your style, but then eventually he started doing it himself, and he was like asking me for tips on it.
but still, Soups is still a little different than yours. Soups is
Well, that's because Soup does emotional with it too. He
that's
actually
what I like. I like his new type of AMVs he's been doing lately. His new AMVs are really nice because they're they're not the same old bullshit. They're more based on a complicated concept.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like I've never been able to imagine Final Fantasy in an emotional sense. When I first started doing Final Fantasy, it was something I channeled my anger into, and that's what I see it as.
Well, yeah, everybody has a different perspective on it. But like, look at
Yeah,
that beta that I showed you, the one that I uploaded, that one that I titled shit beta.
yeah,
That one, I mean, I don't know if you picked up on the concept when you were testing it, but I was trying to do something different, something that like similar to Soup.
yeah. But sometimes when something's never been done, there's usually a good reason why it's never been done. And I
Usually,
think,
yeah, but I
and I
mean,
think you're a bit.
Has done it before with as far as integrating a very complicated concept. And of course, I mean, you
Yeah,
have a lot of
but
Final
if you've
Fantasy
noticed,
videos
yeah,
with complicated concepts. But I'm
Yeah, but the
talking
problem
something
was
more.
the video was so lazily made, and the cuts and everything were so crappy. And I
Where
mean,
what?
in your
Yeah,
final
yeah, it was. It was. I
I,
focused so much on trying to make a complicated concept. I really disregarded the editing as a.
yeah, and even then, but the problem was, is even as your concept, you really didn't establish a base for your concept. All you saw was just cloud floating in. Like,
That's the thing. You didn't notice.
well, the
You
problem is like what the problem with the story is like you need to have like a background setup. You need to like have like a perspective that you
There
can see.
was, there was, but you only seen one part. If the video would have went on, even to the next scenes that I
But the
had already.
problem is though, yeah, but the problem is you have to establish that perspective early. I mean, I kind of
Yeah,
did it
like
with
you
like
said
for me.
earlier, how are you supposed to uh pick up on a concept if it's only a minute long video? You need 2 minutes really before you really start to pick up on a concept.
Yeah, but it's also how you set it up in the beginning, and it's how you set it up in
Oh,
the beginning that
if you
makes
watch the
things.
video, it starts off with pictures, right? And the whole
Yeah,
idea was, see, here's the advantage a lot of editors have on me. I don't watch anime when I edit it. I couldn't tell you shit about Final Fantasy. I know two people's names, Sephiroth and Cloud, and that's it. Like I don't know shit. I don't know what the hell the whole story is.
yeah, I guess, but
But
I
here's
don't.
the thing: you look at that, like when he's in that state where everything is like white around him, floating, or whatever the hell that shit is.
Yeah, but it still feels. But in the history of Final Fantasy videos, it still feels generic. That's the problem. Even
You,
with your concept, it feels really fucking generic.
you see, I
That's
don't even
why,
know if you picked up on the concept though.
like to me, that's the point. Is I felt nothing from it, so there was nothing to get.
It's too short. That's what I thought. It was too short.
It was just bad editing too.
It
Like I'm
was.
just.
Editing was terrible. The editing was terrible, and I really tried to focus more on the concept. If you would have watched the rest of the video I had, you would have seen. You would have probably understood the concept more because the video went on to about a minute and 20 seconds.
But even then, I don't know. Like to me, that really wasn't the song that would have fit a long, drawn out scene base you were trying to work with too. Like it felt like things were too, drug out. Like, the
That was the
problem with
whole point. That was the whole point. Didn't you notice the cookie cutters with the white border on them?
yeah, but that's the
It's the
problem is
whole point.
it just felt. But that's the problem is if I mean I understand wanting to go slow with something and giving people a chance to absorb scenes, but there's a point where it's just drawn out to where it actually builds up to nothing kind of thing.
That's
Like
what I thought it was doing. I thought the editing was actually too shitty compared to the concept that I was trying to do. That it really, really took away
I
from it.
just I just also think, I mean, if you look at Soup's stuff, he doesn't do as long drawn out as you. What he does is if he does a long drawn out scene, he also has his overlays to compensate for that.
Right. I'm not
The
like that
fact,
though. I don't like to. That's the thing.
yeah,
I don't want to have to copy someone's
but
style.
yeah, but that's the point is that's why you couldn't approach it the same way Soup does. Soup has his own concept and he does his own editing to realize that concept. He has an understanding for that. The fact is your idea of bringing his concept to reality can't work because your logic for editing isn't the same as his. So the
Which
fact is
nobody's is.
yeah, but I think that problem, I think at a point that kind of affected the quality of your video and how you were trying to approach your scene selection because I think that really hurt it, in my
Well,
opinion.
see, here's the thing. I don't think you understood the concept. I really don't think so. But
Yeah, but that's the problem is all you old like that's the problem is like you expect people to understand the concept. The problem is this is an
you had no way.
AMV.
You like, look,
There,
I said you had no way of understanding the concept. It was too short. The video was
no,
too short to understand the concept.
it's not just too short though. It's just bad scene work, Like with well, you forget when an AMV, it's like all these videos that people post on YouTube and they put their stories in the YouTube description. It's like they do that because their video is poorly laid out. There's no actual scene selection to point towards this story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
I think your video does the same thing. I don't care what you say. To me, it does not do much better than anybody else's attempt at it. The fact is, it creates this huge abstract vagueness about the concept you're trying to bring out. And I think even if you brought it over time, the problem is there's not a solid beginning in someone's mind to where they can actually apply it throughout the video. And that's what my problem was with it.
like this, like you said, you have to have at least 2 minutes to absorb the concept. You didn't even have a minute in there, and
Yeah, but I mean,
all of a sudden you
but I
can't.
think,
You have a few black and white scenes, and you have like two, three colored scenes,
yeah,
and then you automatically go and say the concept isn't there. There's no way to understand the concept in such a short video, especially with a long drawn out video like that. You need
yeah,
time.
but I mean, to me, that's just like not the point. It's like with my Love on Video AMV I did, that to me, like that's an idea of bringing out like a perspective. Like you actually get a chance to see like the background scenes. You get to see where they're at. Like you get different perspectives of where they're at, and like you get to see things happening within that background. It actually gives you a chance to see these characters, see emotion, and see things act out. Like I see. I mean, you like you said, you just have that scene where it's like you have a picture and then you just have this background, and like that's pretty much it. Then you just transition straight to where his hand, with the geostigma and all that stuff, and it just doesn't really transition to a story of any sort.
Here's the thing. You see, I mean, I could explain to you the story. Yet again, I don't know what the
But
hell
that's
the
the
whole story
problem
is.
that's the problem is that that's your story in your head. The problem is if you
That's the
can't feel
story I
it.
actually was trying to portray. If you
But
understood it, you would understand. See,
but I
here's the
can't
thing.
understand
The
your
video is a
story. The fact is
complicated.
that's
It
the
has a
point.
complicated concept. It's not something that you can pick up right
A,
away.
compli
It's
a
something that you have to
complicated.
actually review the whole video with.
But that's the point. You're not supposed. That's not what a video is supposed to be. It's
That's
like if
where
you watch.
focus.
It's like if you go to a movie. You shouldn't have to watch the movie multiple times before you get the idea of the movie. It's to be something that like if you watch through it once, you should at least be able to get the general idea and maybe get an idea of what's happening. It's like something I should have to review multiple
No,
times.
in a video, you should same thing with movies. You should watch the movie from beginning to the end, and by the end, understand the whole concept of the movie. Have you
Yeah.
ever watched the movie Inception? I'm pretty sure you have.
Nope.
You never watched it, you missed out.
I know.
The whole movie is based off of pretty much planting a concept into somebody's mind and
Yeah.
taking it deeper and deeper until that person starts to sort of accept it as his own concept, even though it's planted
Yeah.
there by somebody else.
Yeah, I can understand. So, in terms of a movie, it's one of those ones that starts off with you not really knowing what's going on, and it actually goes backwards in how it explains things until you actually have a base of where, like
I
then
wouldn't
you.
say it goes backwards; it goes forwards, and it starts to explain more as you start to
That's what
see
I'm.
more. You
That's what
start
I'm.
to
That's yeah.
comprehend
That's
more.
what I'm saying. Is like you have all this stuff happening. You're like, what the hell's going on, and how has this come to happen? So as the story's advancing, though, you have these clues that are popping out throughout the video that point back to when this all started, and they give you an idea as the base as to what how you arrived to where you're at, kind of thing.
Well, sort
That's
of,
well,
sort
I
of.
mean,
But
I'm just
once
saying.
again, how can you understand the concept of a video if you only watch so little of it without reviewing the whole thing? How are you supposed to understand a concept? Like,
Yeah,
find
I
me one
understand.
video
I'm
where
just
you
saying
can.
that's the problem with your video is like I can only see it working in that logic. The fact is you have such a vague beginning that the only way you could have ever worked out a good concept is if you actually did some sort
Well,
of
see, it's not
back.
even my video that I'm saying. I'm saying try to find a video where you can honestly look at it within the first 40 or 50 seconds and say, oh, I
I think
understand the concept
I
right
don't
away.
I don't say that that's when you need to fully understand the concept.
So how can you go
I
ahead
think
and
that
say
I
that that's
think
how my video was?
I can what I'm saying is there's a point between fully understanding the concept and at least getting an idea. You know,
So find me a video where you can sort of get an idea within the first 40 50 seconds. And I'm positive you can. Almost every single video is like that. You can sort of get an idea, but find me a video that's long and drawn out with absolutely no action into it.
that
Because that's
well,
how our whole video was supposed to be. There's no action in the whole song.
dude, it's that Koopa Skeeve. I could say it from Coop's videos or anybody else. Like the problem is that anybody I would reference would be from the org. The fact is
That
that
doesn't
YouTube.
matter. That's beside the point. I mean, where they're from or where they're not from, it that has nothing to do with it.
I would say with Coop's video, you can get a basic idea.
Hi.
The hell, Eagle.
It's oh my god, Eagle. No, but I would say Coop's video, like pure paper image he did with EF, I think that within the first 40 seconds, you can at least get an idea of what the characters are, what their relationship is, and get a feel for the atmosphere. Like when I say that about your video, I don't say your video fails as a concept. It's the fact is you can't grasp it like even within the first 40, 50 seconds. Like I
Right, of
think you
course. But here's my explanation for it. It doesn't show enough scenes.
But that's the problem is too. But that's the point. Like with my video, people find it boring, because of lack of like the concept or something. Who's gonna sit around and watch a video for where the first minute to minute and a half you can't get what the fuck is going on?
Well,
There,
that's the thing. You don't watch a video every 40 seconds. You watch it from beginning to end. You don't watch it
but
40
the problem
seconds and
is you
stop it and
forget though.
say, "Oh, I don't understand the concept."
Yeah, but it's like people who go to a movie. If you don't get what the fuck's going on in the movie within a certain time period or something, you might just be apt to leave the movie.
Well,
You're
here's
not.
the thing. A movie compared to an AMV is 1,000 times longer. You have an
That's the
AMV, I'd
point.
say an average
That's
AMV is
the challenge
about
of
3 minutes long.
that's the challenge of AMVs is that AMVs you only have about maybe 2 to 4 minutes to explain in concept what you would do in a movie. The fact is you have to figure out how to condense scenes. You got to work your editing.
You see, based off of your logic, you're making it seem like you watch an AMV and you watch it segmented. You watch 40 seconds of it and then you
I'm just
stop
saying.
it and you
Well, the
say,
point.
"Oh, I don't understand this," and then you
No,
watch another 40 seconds of it and
I'm
don't
not
put the
saying
two
that
together.
time is. I'm saying it's because in AMVs, like anything in a movie or anything else, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. And of course, if you're doing it right, this all seems like one thing. But if you go back and you look at it, you can break it down into a beginning, middle, and end. So I'm saying what I'm not saying is that I'm watching it in 40-second segments. I'm just saying is that there's usually a point where you can tell there's a beginning or you could grasp something. I mean, for your video, maybe you're saying that there was something there that I didn't understand. But I'm just saying this as a viewer. That's the point. That was my opinion. That to me there was nothing there, and I didn't get anything from it.
See, that's the thing. Like I said, it's a complicated concept. It's not something that is easily grasped within the first 40, 50 seconds. It is not. You have to watch the video
Hi,
from
YouTube
beginning to end.
people.
What the hell was that?
Eagle. It's Eagle.
Eagle. Wow.
Dude, we're doing a fucking podcast. Oh my god.
Come on, Eagle. Come on.
We're trying to do a podcast about editing right now.
And this guy keeps coming in being a dipshit.
Dude, I would have rather had Rez at this point.
Reza,
God.
piece of shit.
Yeah, but he still would have been more entertaining than Eagle.
Yeah, of course. Eagle, you asshole. But anyways.
But yeah, okay, moving on from that. We already
Right.
grasped the idea that your videos, I can't understand it, and to you, there's a reason why. And for me,
Right,
there's
no, it's perfectly understandable. I'm just saying.
yeah,
You look at a lot of Final Fantasy AMVs, like we were saying earlier, and they're all pretty much a simple to grasp concept. You look at somebody like Soup. Soup's concepts are more complicated. They're not easily grasped.
Soup's concepts really aren't even concepts to begin with. Like Remnant sort of had a story base, but then in fact it's kind of like you still can't get it kind of thing. But like his recent video, it really wasn't a video of story. It was a video of atmosphere, mood, and feeling. Like those overlays, those blendings he did with the scenes, they were basically to give a perspective. Like you see all these characters and you see these emotions they portray. Like you see these happy, sad, and you get to see like these backdrops that give you like this emotional pull, you know. And he used overlays and such also to help make that even better because like as he's going through these slow scenes, you get the scenes in the background, he also pops in these overlays which give you more scenes to look at and give you a chance to get a better view of what you're going to be looking at kind of thing.
Well, see, Remnant was like that. It kind of left me hanging. Like I didn't really understand it.
That's
But
the
I
point.
thought Remnant was a damn good video. You know why?
It was a good video.
Because the scene selection really complemented the atmosphere. And I'm not saying that an AMV is only good if its atmosphere is good. Hell no.
No,
That's
no.
completely wrong.
Yeah, but the point is that usually if a video has a good atmosphere at some point, it's usually because it has good scene representation, which would mean that it has good editing, which would be in most cases.
Not necessarily. You can have a good
I said it-
video,
no, but I
bad
said-
editing, and you
The
can have
video-
bad
the video
or good
is
editing
cool
and
is-
a bad video.
I know, I'm saying in most cases.
Shut up!
Eagle, who are you yelling at?
I was trying to talk.
What? What do you have
Alright,
to say,
talk.
Eagle? Go.
No, listen
Right.
my theory. The video is good. If it is made by Eagle, that's enough.
Oh my gosh, shut up, man.
Dude, kick him out. Just fucking kick him out. I told you this was gonna happen. Dude, God damn it. I knew this was gonna happen the second you brought him in here. I knew you'd
But
go
look,
fuck.
I mean, there's
Okay,
a lot of
continue.
videos you can look at that have somewhat a good atmosphere and
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't.
shitty videos.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't consider. I'm not talking about those. Like, I'm talking about videos that like genuinely good atmosphere, like something that grabs you, kind of thing. You know.
Like who?
I don't know. Like I said, like Soup's video, like it's like to me, it has a good, like I said, it has a good atmosphere. It's represented well. You mean like you may not fully get the concept, but it's something enjoyable and it's something you can get into.
And not only that, the editing is good.
Yeah, that's the point. Good editing. But like I said, it's usually if like there's an atmosphere in a video that usually grabs you like really good, it's usually because there's good scenes and a good editing, good editing paired along with it that actually bit you pulled in there. And that's within most cases. Some people, can actually pull that off without, and that's true, but that's not what it's like in most cases. Usually the bad editing or the bad scenes will actually detract you from the overall mood and therefore actually make the video seem bad. That's at least what I'm saying. on
Well,
that.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing: you can't have video that has only a good atmosphere and terrible editing. And
I
mean,
know.
just
I know
because
that.
a video
I
has
agree,
good
I
atmosphere, you
agree.
can't automatically
I
infer
know.
or conclude that the editing has to be good.
I know, and this was the argument we had with Benji's video. I actually thought it had good editing and good atmosphere, and you were arguing that it had barely even atmosphere.
Benji's editing may have good atmosphere. That's all based off scene selection, but as far as editing goes, it lacks a lot. Like like think about it. Look at his videos. I mean, which one? Which one could I link? I'm not gonna link.
I don't know. Well, for you said he has sporadic cuts and such.
Yeah, his shits are his cuts are like random as shit sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, they are.
That's 'cause you don't understand the logic behind cuts. The fact is that since you come from
There's a
the
logic behind cuts.
yes, there is. Like I'm gonna say this now. The fact is, you guys come from the community you do, and you see editing as you do. The fact is, you see editing more within a term of editing AMVs.
So hold on. No, I don't. But ask me this: what's the logic
Because
behind a cut?
the fact is that cuts have many different ways. It depends on the scene. It depends on the scene. Type. It's a lot of shit to explain. Like, it's the kind of scene, like the color of the scene. Where a character is positioned within the screen itself. For cuts and such.
But
And
that's
also,
not logic. That's just
no, but then there's also like cuts, like rhythm. Like, maybe you don't sync with a beat or something, but the fact is you space your cuts off within a certain pattern, which then gives them a certain kind of logic there and a structure. The
that's
fact
a
is that.
structure, not a logic. You can't possibly have a logic behind a cut.
But a
That just
logic, but
doesn't
a
make
logic,
sense.
yeah, well, that's a logic from people. It's like in your mind, it's like this is how I perceive something, and this is how I go about it in interpreting it. You know,
I
that's
don't
the
know about
like
that. I mean, I can understand why you would do a
point
cut in a certain
the
spot
point
or
is right
based
now.
off of a certain scene.
Yeah, but Benji, right now you're arguing the point of logic. Now you're not even arguing the point of what I'm talking about, the cuts and everything. You're just
No,
trying
well,
to.
that's what it is. It makes no sense to say a cut has logic behind it. It makes absolutely no sense
Yeah,
because a cut doesn't have logic behind it. Probably
the person who is interpreting the cut has logic, though, and that's what I'm trying to talk about.
the person who has. Are you talking about the editor who's
I'm
doing it
talking.
has logic? Of course, I
I'm,
would think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like editor and how the cuts themselves. Like when I'm talking about editing, I'm talking about how a person approaches it in a sort of theory. When I'm
Okay, I thought you were literally talking about it
no,
having some sort of
that's
logic behind it. I was gonna say no. There's a structure behind the way you place your cuts, but not logic. Of course,
yeah,
every person would have logic
that's what
because
I'm
I
saying.
mean,
That's what I'm saying. When I'm talking about editing, I'm talking about how a person should approach it and how it creates a video overall. So the fact is that cuts have a rhythm to them. That
of course.
yeah, like you don't always just, I mean, these editors nowadays, you just hit a beat. But a real editor will actually look at a video, will look at a song, will look at the scenes they have, and they'll say, maybe I don't have to hit this beat. Maybe I can actually do a sequence of cuts within this logic to work with the scene I have here. You
Yeah,
know,
that's something different, entirely
that's what
different.
I argued with Benji. Like you were saying these cuts were sporadic and such, but the
No, no,
fact,
no, no. I mean, when I said sporadic, I guess I did say that wrong, but sporadic in a sense as in they're random completely. Like they
not really.
have no sort of structure behind them.
That's the point is you weren't noticing it. Like I could notice those cuts. Like he would do like maybe cuts a certain spaced about apart, and then he'd bring in a scene, and then that scene would be there, and then he would space off within a different set of cuts within a different space. The
Well,
fact
hold on. Let me ask you this then, because since you did say, I remember that an atmosphere, if the atmosphere is good in a video, the video must be good because
uh,
the only way you
not
can achieve that atmosphere is through scene selection. But
not
think about it like this: you can have good editing and a terrible video. You can have bad editing and I guess in a
I
sense
don't
a good video.
for you that's the different. Like I don't judge videos based off of personal enjoyment. Like
Neither
I
do I. That's the thing, because I really don't enjoy many AMVs, really, to be honest with you.
yeah, neither do I, but I have to judge people. People come to me for lessons, so I judge those videos. So that's the point. It's like I broke editing down into a science because of how many people ask me. Like I can literally explain any aspect of editing within actual editing theory. Like something that would be put within a movie, I can actually point out in an AMV where that might actually have the same thought process. Like
Right.
yeah.
Right.
That's what I try to do is like I try to explain videos in that sense. Like so when you say that cuts are sporadic or like you say they're random, to me that's not the case. Like I try to like break it down in his video and I kind of try to understand and
But then
edit.
that's pretty much biased because, like you said, you want your cuts to be placed in a sort of structure. You don't want a random cut to just come in and then all of a sudden
Yeah, but
take
that's the
away from
point.
the
That's the,
story just
that's the
because that cut
point.
was.
Yeah, but the fact is that you're saying that you're the one determining the cuts are random, and therefore that's your bias on it. To me, I say I can understand the cut, which means it's my bias for that. But maybe it's just the fact that I understand editing differently from you, and maybe you have your own perceptions of editing. That's just the
Which
point. Is we're talking
everybody does. But Benji, I mean, if you want to say something, you can talk. There's no reason to type it out. We are having a Skype conversation.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's alright, Benji. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. I mean, just because we're talking about your AMVs for the moment doesn't mean you can be shy and say, "Oh, I'm talking about bias." And the only reason you say bias is because I personally talk shit to you. So how does that even? How does
yeah,
that
but,
make sense?
but your arguments hardly make sense to people.
So
I don't know.
like what?
Like I said, I don't know. It's just there's plenty of editors who would say Benji's a good editor. Just
Like
because they can understand his editing.
like.
Jeff likes his editing. I know my friend Ed does. I know Soup likes his editing. I know Slash likes his editing.
But look
I
at
know,
Slash. What has Slash edited in the past
Fuck soup.
year?
but the fact is that he's still a good editor.
Slash is a good editor, but what did Slash? What has Slash edited? I mean, come on.
Slash is like Flash all the way.
Maybe back in the day he was, yeah.